Hi guys, this is part 2 of my last video. I just wanted to mention, talk a little bit about the article that I had here about the Russian who warned Americans against a communist takeover, and that sounds very much true about what I heard a few months back ago about the Russian invasion, the plans of the Russians going to invade the United States. There is considerable irony involved when a Russian warns Americans against what is taking place before their eyes as President Obama seeks to transform and ultimately acquire dictatorial powers by a series of steps that are both bold and obvious. And in April, Stanislav Mishkin posted on his blog on Matt Rodina was published in Pravda, and the title was American Capitalism Gone with a Whimper. Having lived under communist rule in former Soviet Russia, Mishkin and his fellow Russians were literally freed by the fall of the regime that began with the overthrow of the Tsar in 1917 by the Bolsheviks, which followed was an experiment in communism that killed millions of Russians as a succession of dictators, starting with Lenin, sought to impose an economic and political system that simply does not work. Mishkin enumerated the ways of the path to the present effort to destroy capitalism and our political system has been laid in America. First, the population was dumbed down through a politicalized and substandard education system based on pop culture rather than the classics. Okay, there are few that would argue that the American education system is not controlled by the National Education Association, a union, and the American Federation of Teachers, a union. Both have long supported the Democratic Party. Virtually every way one can measure the system reveals its failure to educate the millions passing through government schools. Then their faith in God was destroyed, until their churches, all tens of thousands of different branches and denominations, were for the most part like more than Sunday circuses. America is a religious nation. If one looks at the survey numbers of who say that they believe in a supreme being, this is not reflected in the breakdown of moral values, as seen in the spread of pornography, the use of illegal drugs, the divorce rate, and the touchstone issue of abortion in America. Our popular culture is drenched in sex and violence. The final collapse had come when the election of Barack Obama, said Mishkin. I would argue that the threat of Obama poses to the United States Constitution and to our economy is indisputable. His spending and money printing has been a record-setting, all pointing to an America that will resemble the Weimar Republic and at worst Zimbabwe. The former preceded the Nazi takeover of Germany in 1930s, and the latter's money is worthless. What better way to destroy America than to destroy the value of the U.S. dollar, the standard against which all other currencies are set? If you want to know why Obama had instituted the spending of billions in just as over half a year time and imposed a $9 trillion deficit on the nation, you need to look no further for an explanation. Nor did it escape mission's notice, having lived in a nation in which all industry was under the control of a central government. That under the Obama, the government now owns General Motors, and that the president demanded and got the resignation of the company's former president. Every other CEO in America got the message. Nowhere in the Constitution will you find permission for public money to be spent in this fashion. The ironies and the threats to our nation continues. Prime Minister Putin warned Obama not to follow the path of Marxism. It only leads to disaster. In brief, that the case for the free market capitalism as opposed to government-run enterprises and interference. The U.S. Postal Service was established in 1775, and it took 234 years to get it right. It is broke. Social Security was established in 1935, and has been 74 years to get it right. It broke. This is the cost of living increases to recipients will not be enacted for the next 2 years, and it is broke. Fannie Mae, an intrusion into the housing and mortgage marketplace, was established in 1938. There was 71 years to get it right. It is broke, and it was a major contributing factor in the failure of the mortgage lending system and the present failure of banks across the nation. Likewise, Freddie Mac was established in 1970, and it took 39 years to get it right, and now it's broke. The war on poverty set in motion in 1964 the classic of redistribution of money as a transfer to the poor. Now the nation is, for all intents and purposes, broke. Medicare and Medicaid was established in 1965. After 44 years, they're both broke. And the list goes on and on. The Obama administration is allegedly seeking to reform both or rationing medical services to the elderly while expanding the services to require all Americans to involuntarily purchase insurance. And universal health care requires more doctors. Until tort reform is enacted, until doctors can be free to practice in a free market, there will be fewer and fewer doctors. The trillions of dollars spent on TARP and Omnibus Appropriations Act of 2009 are showing no signs of working. Acorn, a community organizing group, received millions and is likely to be given a working role in the forthcoming U.S. Census, a program that's part of the Department of Commerce, but whose management has been transferred to the White House. The proud American will go down into his slavery without a fight, beating his chest and proclaiming to the world how free he really is. The world will only snicker. Predicted mission. If the town hall meetings and the tea parties from coast to coast are indication that Missioner is wrong, that Americans will not fight. Are we going to? Well, I don't know. It would take a miracle. A forthcoming September 12th protest gathering in Washington, D.C. is likely to draw more than 1 million protesters to the Capitol. Obama and his panoply of czars have only a few months in which to manufacture a crisis as a pretext to transfer all powers to the White House. They will fail. Okay. Well, this article here is, I just mentioned briefly in the last video about where Russia's company is set to take over Wyoming uranium mines. Okay, how this came about, I don't know. But anyway, it says here that 2 of the uranium mines in Wyoming are on their way to be controlled by a Russian company now that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has approved transferring the mine's licenses. The NRC last week approved that the license transfer to the Russian company known as ARMS, with a Z at the end, which expected to obtain a controlling interest in the Canadian uranium one by year's end. Uranium One holds the license for a proposed uranium mine and existing uranium mine in northeast Wyoming. And it says the approval comes despite concerns from local and national lawmakers. Both groups worry that the Wyoming uranium could, in theory, go overseas and serve against U.S. interests. See, that's what's going to be the problem. When you have other countries coming in and buying up or taking over our assets here, that's what happens, because they're going to export it to their countries and we don't get anything, basically. So I'll just leave this so you all can read the rest of this, because I'm running close to the end. And also I'm going to leave this link also, and read the part where it says here, meet Obama's boss, or crime boss, George Soros. His goal is one world socialist government, and we are heading for a one world government, and he is head of it, one of them anyway. And the frequent visitor, he is a frequent visitor to the White House. He's a convicted felon, and he's a communist. George Soros is a communist. And he bought the 2008 election and Obama. So he signs Obama's paycheck, okay? Basically. And he also runs the media. So yeah, talking about evil, he's very evil. In other words, there's an economic collapse in California. China is planning to buy up California, says Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger is selling California out to China, the trader. He's the trader. And this was back in 2010, so it was only like a couple of years ago. And then there's a top 257 Chinatowns here in America that are used as Chinese trade zones, and they were invading our country and setting up these trade zones, and still we don't do anything about it. Okay, this article here is the Russian and China's invasion of the U.S.A. You have to read this because there's some interesting stuff here that will open up your eyes. That's all I have to say about that. And I also include one about China's cutting-edge EMP weapons. No doubt they would probably use something against us there with EMP. If it's not the CMEs, it could be the EMPs. Who knows? That will take us out. Well, I'm close to the end, you guys, and that's it. I'll leave all links in the description bar. Y'all take care. God bless you guys. Jesus loves you, so do I. Until next time, bye bye now.